Good morning, everyone. Good morning. When I was in school at the seminary, one of the requirements you had to fulfill to graduate was your parish assignment. Now, parish assignment literally meant that you were assigned to a local parish in the metropolis of Boston, and you had to assist this parish in whatever way they might need on a Sunday. So my first Sunday at my parish in Boston, I was very excited and anxious to get in there and be of assistance. As a seminarian, I felt I had to prove myself capable and helpful so that I would get a good review from this church back at the seminary. And so I was assigned to a very historic and a very Greek parish in Boston. The parish priest was a very kind man from Greece, and he encouraged me to go around the church and ask the different people what they might need help with. So I saw the old chanter outside the altar, and I went to introduce myself to him in Greek. And I asked if he might need any help. To my disappointment, the chanter responded, "No, I don't need your help." I was kind of surprised by this, but I said, "Okay, in Doxy," and I went on my way. So I ventured down into the basement. Of course, all the East Coast churches are one large indoor structure because of the cold weather. And the basement is usually where the hall and the Sunday school classrooms are. So I found one of the Sunday school teachers, and I introduced myself and asked if she needed any help. And she kindly dismissed me, and she said, "Oh, no, thank you, that's okay." And I said, "Man, okay, I'm 0 for 2 here." So I went back upstairs to the altar, and I found the man in charge of the altar boys. And I asked him if he needed any help. Strike 3, he didn't need my help either, and he sent me on my way. So here I was now standing in the altar without anything to offer, nothing to do, and no one to help. I felt totally useless. Here I was wanting to prove myself and make a good impression on this church. But there I was feeling very deflated, very useless. But then I noticed the candles on the altar table had not been lit yet. Since I clearly was not doing anything else, I decided to light them. And even as I was lighting these candles, I remember thinking, wow, this is kind of sad. The only thing I'm good for here is lighting these little candles. But as soon as I lit the final candle on the altar table, the priest who was standing at the altar table said, "Thank you, Christo." And I thought he was joking kind of, so I just laughed and said, "Yeah, no problem." But he said, "No, sincerely, thank you. Every week I have to light these candles on top of everything else I have to do here. And now I have one less thing to worry about. God bless you and thank you." And just like that, all my previous frustrations melted away. I felt validated. I felt encouraged. I felt very content in my abilities, all because one person told me, "Thank you." Now, we know many things about Jesus Christ. We know that he is the Son of God. We know that he is the only one on earth who ever lived without sin. We know that he is among us, and we know that he is with us. But we tend to forget one of the most important aspects of Jesus Christ. We forget that he is human. This means that just like you and me, he has human emotions. He experiences happiness. He experiences sadness. He experiences frustration, and he experiences relief. And we get a glimpse at some of these human emotions of Christ in today's gospel passage. Today, Christ heals 10 lepers and cures them of one of the most terrible diseases a person can ever have. He saves 10 people from one of the most miserable conditions. And of course, as we know, only one of these lepers took the time to stop and say, "Thank you." It says in our passage, one of them, when he saw that he was healed, turned back, praising God with a loud voice, and he fell on his face at Jesus' feet, giving him thanks. And Jesus' immediate reaction reveals a little frustration. Yes, even God himself can feel frustrated just like you and me. Jesus says, were not 10 cleansed? Where are the 9? Was no one found to return and give praise to God except this foreigner? Where are the 9? Such a simple yet revealing question for Christ to ask. These days we stress and worry because religion in the world and in America is down across the board. We despair over attendance in church, whether it's high, is it too low? But unfortunately, we see from today's gospel passage that this is not a new issue. The majority of people do not take the time to acknowledge God, let alone to thank him, even when he has blessed them in one way or another. In our passage today, 1 in 10 of the lepers turned back to say, thank you. Only 10% of that group. So the question for all of us is not, how do we catch and chase and worry about the other 90%? Because Christ himself did not even chase the 9 thankless lepers. Instead, the question for you and me is, how do we be more like the one, the thankful leper? And the answer is simple. We give thanks to God. We give thanks to him by coming to church. We give thanks to him by praying either in the morning, at night, or before a meal. We give thanks to him by silently talking to him throughout our day. We give thanks to him by reflecting on all the good things in our lives and being grateful for them. Self-proclaimed gurus and self-help experts today claim a revolutionary mentality to improve our life. They say that by looking at our life and being grateful for what we have and not stressing about what we might not have improves our lives very much. But as we hear today, for us Orthodox Christians, this is not a new belief. This is not a revolutionary idea. Rather, this is a very basic teaching of our church. And in fact, we actually find that our faith is way ahead of the game when it comes to many ideas and philosophies that are used today in pursuit of a better life. And the way I felt when the priest in Boston said thank you to me is exactly the way even Christ feels when we direct a small, genuine thank you towards him. He wants to know that he means something in our lives. He wants to know that his blessings have an impact on us. He wants to see that our faith is alive, and he wants to see that we are using it to take the time to reach out to him. So let today be the reminder to always take a moment to stop and acknowledge God and give thanks to him. The Lord said, "Was no one found to return and give praise to God except this foreigner?" And he said to the man, "Rise and go on your way. Your faith has made you well." Amen.